everyone, it's Lexi and today we'll be doing a review and discussion of Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. And for those of you who don't know, this is a compilation of 9 novellas, kind of like prequels to the Lunar Chronicles, and then one of the novellas is actually epilogue to Winter. So this is going to be a spoil-free discussion, so don't worry if you haven't read this already. I won't be giving anything away. So without further ado, let's get started. Yeah, so I was really excited for this book when it came out because I knew there was going to be the epilogue to Winter, and I feel like the ending was very open-ended, so I really wanted more to see with the characters because it was just kind of left because it didn't really go into much detail after the fact. It was literally just a couple days after the events that took place, so I kind of wanted to see how everything kind of took off after that. For an overall rating, I must say that I was a little bit disappointed in it. I gave it like 3.5 stars. I was expecting more from it, and I think the problem was that a lot of the prequels that are in here, they talked about a lot in the other novels as well. This is just kind of more unnecessary background information in my opinion, and I'll go into each novella a bit in more detail later on in this video, but also I feel like the epilogue could have been a lot different, I think, because like as you'll learn later on, it kind of focused on two characters that I didn't really care too much about, and we didn't really get another kind of more background on other characters. So the first novella was The Keeper, and it is a short story about Scarlett's grandmother and how she came about getting Cinder and all of that. So I think this is kind of interesting because we don't really get the perspective of Scarlett's grandmother, even though a lot of it is already discussed in the book as well. We kind of do eventually get that kind of side of it. We figure all of that out, and Scarlett does talk about it, which she kind of remembers this as well. It's alluded to in Scarlet. So yeah, I gave this one, I didn't think was very necessary. You can see this will be a common trend with the other novellas. The next one is Glitches, and this is about Cinder kind of getting adopted into her new family. So we do get to kind of see Audrey and Peony and Pearl kind of how before everything that led up to Graham's death. And this one we kind of see how Graham kind of knew like how important Cinder was, and because he got leishmaniasis pretty shortly after they brought Cinder in, we don't really get to kind of see how he could have helped the dynamics in that. This one I think was probably one of my favorites of the novellas just because Cinder I think is a better character in that as well. And so yeah. So the next novella is The Queen's Army, and it talks about Wolf being recruited into the Queen's Army and how he kind of got that transformation of kind of turning into like a wolf soldier. And this one was just kind of interesting because it kind of shows you more of like the Luna side of the Luna, like the kind of the Luna perspective of it, and I think that was very interesting. However, I feel like a lot that was discussed in this novella has been discussed before because we do get to see how Wolf ended up being the alpha and kind of his relationship with his brother that wasn't so well. So yeah. So the next one was Carswell's Guide to Good Luck, and this one was just kind of interesting just because I love Thorne and kind of his perspective. With the one that was about Cinder, I enjoyed this one as well. Just because it was something that he discussed about with Cress in this novella, specifically how she thought he was a hero for saving this one girl in his school who was being bullied, but we kind of see that wasn't really the case. And I love how they kind of portray him as he has this calculated plan and he's going to be this pilot. And I did think that was really funny, just kind of like a middle school version of Thorne, which there was always a good like kind of humor twist to it as well. So the next novella was After Sunshine Passes By, and this is kind of like a novella about Cress and how she was recruited by Sybil to be kind of like the programmer. And I did like this one because Cress is probably one of my favorite characters as well, and so this is kind of her story of how she was taken from like underground and how Sybil kind of recruited her into being in this satellite and how she was forced to live there. And it's kind of, you can see how she thought she was actually going to Earth, she always had this obsession with Earth and how that didn't end up being the case. And I just really enjoyed this one because we kind of see Cress's innocence and how even throughout the series she kind of still has that innocence to her, which I really enjoyed. So the next novella was The Prince and the Guard, and this is about Winter and Jason and kind of how they grew up together and kind of all the events leading up to Winter, I guess. A lot of the stuff that takes place in Ferris, which is another short story to kind of the Lunar Chronicles, is mentioned in here as well. I liked how we got to kind of see Winter, like this one we kind of see Winter's transformation of how she decided not to use her lunar powers. This one was interesting because we got to, it does shed light on Winter in a different perspective, which I thought was really good as well. Next one was The Little Android, and I only got a few pages into this one. I didn't really see kind of the point to it. I'm pretty sure I know that sounds really bad, but I'm pretty sure it's about Aiko, maybe. Aiko's past life. I don't know, but I just didn't think it was really relevant, and I just kind of skipped this novella overall. So the next one is The Mechanic, and this is a short story told from Kai's perspective about his and Cinder's kind of meet cute in the market and kind of how everything took off from there. Again, I didn't think this one was very necessary, just because it was basically a retelling of the first chapter of Cinder, just from his perspective. I think I would have liked it better if there was a novella from Kai growing up within the palace. I think that would have been more relevant, just because this one, it was literally like 20 pages, and it's like, I've already read this before. So the next one is kind of the epilogue to Winter, and it was Something Old, Something New, and this is basically 2 years after the events that took place in Winter. I won't give any spoilers away, but I feel like the epilogue, I expected more from it because we didn't get much of a kind of resolution in Winter, and so I was kind of hoping to get kind of more how the events kind of changed everything. For this one in particular, it did focus more on two characters, ones that I wasn't really too big of a fan of. If you've seen my other reviews, you'll know which two characters I'm talking about, but I wish we got more into the other characters as well. I know I'm being very vague, but if you've read this, you'll understand. I know that Marissa Meyer is making like graphic novels about this, like kind of further along with the series. I think that comes out next year. So hopefully then we'll kind of get to see more background with these characters as well. So overall, I was kind of in the middle of the road with this book. I enjoyed I enjoyed the short stories that were told from Cinder's, Thorns, and Cress's perspective, but other than that, I felt like a lot of the stuff in there was very repetitive from what we've seen in the other books and just kind of unnecessary, and I was a little bit disappointed in the epilogue because I wanted a little more, because I feel like it was very rushed. So like if you are a diehard Lunar Chronicles fan, then I think you will like this. I was just a little bit disappointed because I think I just had my hopes up I had my expectations up so high. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you felt about this book. Yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.